Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm just a college student that likes sharing stuff that she knows. This video is inspired by Crash Course. It will be a part of a mini-series that explores the field of political science, one of my majors. Today's topic is international relations. Let's go. International relations, also called international affairs, looks at relationships between different sovereign states. That's just fancy lingo for countries. For this, we study the history, law, specifically foreign policy, and economics of different countries. This field also examines international organizations such as the United Nations. For example, this field is one that looks into how wars between countries are caused and how to prevent them. This is a field full of theory, and it is still relatively young. While international relations and theories around it did exist back in the BC era, it didn't really start gaining popularity in the field of political science and becoming a field of its own until Woodrow Wilson helped found the League of Nations after World War I. These studies are important because it promotes unity between nations. On an international level, it promotes trade, pooling of resources, and sharing of information. This allows countries to work effectively together when tackling issues such as the environment, terrorism, or even global pandemics. You may be wondering, Jordan, how does this affect me personally? You're pretty cute, by the way. To that, I say, thank you. And IR does a lot for us as individuals, too. It promotes business travel, tourism, and immigration, and each of those things offer us opportunities to enrich our own lives. International relations isn't straightforward either. There are lots of theories in this field that try to explain or predict how countries act towards each other. Peep some overlap with political theory. Three main ones are realism, liberalism, and constructivism. Realism, at its core, values power above all else and assumes that states will act in their own interest of self-preservation according to their own power. In a realist's mind, power is necessary to protect the sovereignty, for the sake of this explanation, independence, of a state or country. Realists believe that the world is an international anarchic system, and the hierarchy of power, combined with alliances and the want to preserve oneself, is what keeps countries from doing whatever they want. A quote that sums up this approach nicely is from Thucydides in History of the Peloponnesian War. It goes, "The strong do what they will, and the weak suffer what they must." It's pretty pessimistic, right? Liberalism has a more positive outlook on human nature. It is more focused on modernization and progress. Liberalists say that countries exist to protect the liberties and freedoms of their citizens. This assumes that a government would act in the best interest of its people and not out of a craving or threat of power, like realism does. Like realism, liberalism promotes alliances, but it also promotes trade, interdependency, and international cooperation. Constructivism examines states' interest and why they are interested in those things. Identities, perception, race, gender, ethnicity, history, social norms all shape the way leaders behave. It argues that before you make an assumption about a behavior, like realism and liberalism do, that you should first take the time to research and question why countries are reacting the way that they do. Let's take a closer look.
Imagine you're living in anarchy. A big, strong guy comes up and demands that you help him. There is no law or order to protect you here, so what would you do? A realist says you would help the big guy and form an alliance in order to preserve yourself. A liberalist says you would negotiate and try to form a relationship with the big guy. A constructivist says you should question why they are interested in your help in the first place and learn about the man in question.
These three theories make up the backbone of international relations. They each answer an important question, and all of them can still be applied. Realism is applicable when facing a security dilemma. The Cold War is a great example of this, both the United States and the USSR. had access to nuclear weapons. Why didn't they blow each other out of the sky? Simple, self-preservation. The USA knew if they bombed the USSR that they would in turn get bombed, and the USSR knew the same thing. Liberalism can be seen anywhere where there is cooperative relationships between countries. The United Nations, European Union, and the Allied forces during World War II are all great examples of this. Constructivist theory can be used by analysts when making decisions on foreign policy and in writing treaties. International relations is an extremely important field. It helps us to better understand how the world around us works and how to best get along with other countries and prevent further conflict. Thanks for joining me today.